Welcome back. It's the First Takedown podcast. I'm Alex alongside Hunter. This is episode 29. 29? We
Nice.
did it. We went through the NCAAs. So
We've
excited.
been through a whole year now.
Been through a whole year. It's a little sad. It's a little sad that it's over. But
Yeah.
we gotta get into Hunter and I haven't really talked besides some like texting back and
No.
forth. So we're
No.
gonna dig in today on the results, like biggest surprises, and kind of going through the weights. So I mean, Hunter, you were there, obviously. Now you're back.
Yeah, still recovering a bit. I mean, it's just a long couple of days. I mean, it's fun. It's a great time. Don't get me wrong, but it's like every day is just like, you're socializing, you're hanging out, you're, doing a one team social, you're doing this, you're doing that. I mean, it's a blast, but man, it adds up quick and you don't get very much sleep, even though the rounds don't start until 12 o'clock. And then, obviously the last day of the round, they love doing the 11 o'clock round.
Man.
Yeah, I know. So hard to make an 11 o'clock round. That I will say, that's why you don't see a lot of people at the Saturday round, but it started filling up a little bit this year. Just a little bummed out with so many of the med forfeits in that Saturday round, but we can talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, great experience as always. Cleveland, the Rocket Arena is like perfect. I mean, it's in a good spot in the air in the town. So Cleveland really and truly not a bad place to have it. I would actually say one of the better places to have it, at least from my experience.
Yeah, it seemed like a good spot just just watching all the videos and clips. Another thing I'll say, they go a couple of those days, they go pretty late. Like some of those guys in the heavyweights are wrestling at what was like 11 something for them there. Right?
Yeah, man, I don't get the 8 o'clock start time on the second day. I don't really understand that. I mean, if you're gonna do weigh-ins at 9, start them at 11. I don't understand why we wouldn't start at 11. And if you're really pressed for that much time, start at 11 and then start that round at 7 o'clock. There's no reason for those guys to be wrestling at 8 o'clock and then the heavyweight guys wrestling all the way up till 10:30, 11 o'clock. But
yeah,
just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's get into it. I mean, we've got a lot to hit from like highlights.
Yeah.
Who picked the most champs, and it was me, and then we'll get into just like some of the big surprises, some of these backside warriors. But I mean, 125. Let's start there. Let's start from the bottom.
Yeah,
and go
to
up.
me, the story early on is, well, I'll give two stories, at least from my opinion, is Spratley in the second round match against Vincent Robinson. Obviously, that was, a very much talked about match. It came to fruition. It happened. And Vincent Robinson looked like he was pretty much controlling that match. He got a takedown. He was in on the leg and then gets Jonesy tilted. And then he has to battle back from there. I mean, pretty much the match was over at that point. And, and then Spratley goes on and makes the semis and kind of gets beat up on a little bit by Lilladal. And we hadn't really seen that match. So it was kind of interesting to see kind of those two guys go at it. But Vincent Robinson loses, comes back all the way, takes fourth. Nico Provo lost in the second round, comes back, takes fourth or takes third. So two guys that lost second round come back and wrestle for third, fourth. I think that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And then kind of working our way up, the other story would be Mark Anthony McGowan from the 10 seed making the finals, goes out, beats Provo, beats Ventresca, and then in the semis he beat Jacob Moran. Jacob Moran also kind of a big story out of this, and we can touch on him beating Bouzakis and then Bouzakis beating Klinsky. Or no, sorry, Jory Volk, or not Bouzakis, Moran beating Jory Volk, but
yeah.
Pretty much a standard tournament at the top, right? I think everybody expected Lilladal to win, and he did. Not an exciting final, which was kind of a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
McGowan didn't look very interested in scoring very much, and Lilladal was kind of content with just taking a stall call, and that being the end of the match. So, what were your thoughts on the weight class?
Yeah, I think this was one of the weights out of a few of them that the guys, especially if they're like a little bit like of a lower seed, when it came to the finals, their wrestling seemed a little bit timid and understandable. Right? You're like, okay, I made it to this big stage, I made it to the finals, and not seeing them take as many chances as they had been like their previous matches. Still a fun weight, like as we're going through, like Moran had a great tournament. McGowan had a great tournament, and like we both said, maybe on the backside that like Vincent Robinson would come back, and he did, and then he avenged that loss from Spratley. I think the standout too on the backside is you hit Provo, and Stanford as a whole. I mean, they had a great tournament. I think I overlooked Stanford as a whole. I remember when we talked about like one of the first matchups with Oklahoma State and Stanford, like, yeah, they're pretty good. And then I feel like I kind of forgot about them a little bit till it came to this tournament, and they showed out.
Well,
They did.
they lost Hunter Garvin, which was a big
Yeah.
blow. That really was tough on them. They lost
Lorenzo Norman, right?
Lorenzo Norman as well, which just, I mean, that kind of just two big blows at the upper weights. Now, obviously, their lighter weights wrestled really well at this tournament, but from a dual perspective, you didn't really think about them, and they didn't have the strongest ACC tournament. They did fine, but Provo didn't win, Valencia didn't win. Those guys that placed really, really high at the national tournament, Tyler Knox didn't win. So those guys weren't like champs at the ACC, so maybe you're not expecting a whole lot at the national tournament.
But I mean, like you said, the Liddell, it was kind of his to win and to not get upset on the way, and he held it down a couple. I mean, close matches all the way through, just controlling matches but winning them. Strickenberger, Peterson, and then Spratley was his his biggest win besides the first round, and then obviously winning 2-1, and with the stall call to win it was pretty interesting. But hey, he was controlling it, so that's just the way it went.
And I mean, he'll be the front runner next year. There's not a whole lot of changes at this weight. I think Ventresca actually has another year. Vincent Robinson does. Provo's back. Spratley's back. I mean, kind of all those guys that were up there. I think Jacob Moran graduates, but and we'll see about Bouzakis. Obviously, we didn't really touch on him much, but just not a great tournament. Very, very disappointing tournament. If you're Ohio State looking at 120 trying to win a team trophy, they unfortunately missed out, and he was a big reason why. And it's tough. It's a really hard tournament, and you don't want to put everything on one guy, but man, if you come in as a 3 seed and you go 1-2 or 2-2, 1-2, I think is what it was. So tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Not what you want. Not what you want. But let's get into 133.
Much more exciting weight class.
What a fun weight class. And we knew it. We said it before.
Yeah.
And we were pretty close on the on what was going to happen as we got into the quarters for like both of us. But we got to see the 4 freshmen in the semis, which was some fun match. I mean, I say the Davino and Blaze one fun. I mean, it was a good match. It was close of like what was going back and forth. But to pull it out again, and then Jax Forrest. I mean, this was I feel like the match where people were like, well, we'll see. Seidel took him down 3 times before. Let's see what he does this time, and put it on him this time. Major
Man,
decision.
he looks so good. The match against Seidel impressed me. The match against Davino impressed me in completely different ways. I mean, the match against Seidel, he really just took it to him, just out wrestled him from start to finish. Wrestled a typical Jax match. The duck under to single leg that he hit, the first score where he went duck under to backside single leg was so nice. It's like a double it was like a duck under to it was like a sweet double, but like a duck under first. It was insane. So sick. He looked awesome. And then the Davino match, he looked very poised, stayed in really good position, didn't give up any reattacks or anything, which is where Davino really capitalizes and got the takedown, got the win, put a really tough ride on Davino. And probably should have started at 41 just because that was the way the finals went. But, this was the last match of the night, which is pretty cool watching Jax kind of be the last match of the night. I know when the NCAA does this, they really try to do it in a way where they get two exciting like an exciting match at the beginning and
get them hooked.
Question mark at the beginning, question mark at the end. So people are there. They're obviously tuning in. They want people tuning in when it starts, not tuning in, not going, oh, I don't really care about this match. And it was really cool to watch that match at the very end. Davino, he looked solid all tournament. I will say, I predicted the top 4 correctly.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I think predicted the top 5 correctly, actually, with Ayala taking No, maybe I had Ayala losing to Larkin. Larkin actually didn't place, which is insane.
Crazy, yeah. Both of them.
Seidel looked awesome against Blaze in the third, fourth match. I thought he looked really good. He kind of dominated Blaze, and we haven't really seen Blaze dominated, but it was always going to be interesting because that's kind of how Seidel beats you. He like destroys you, and so I always thought that was going to be interesting of how he was going to beat Marcus if he was going to beat Marcus,
You
and
wrote him
he
out the
looked good.
whole.
I think he wrote him out the very last period. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's crazy. Marcus Blaze is so good. I mean, he really is. And not that fourth in the country's bad. It's great. I'm sure it's not what he wants. But when you just think about the level of guy that he is, and there's 3 freshmen ahead of him, it's
Yeah.
kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, it is. It's funny that this weight. I mean, we knew we lost a couple, like when we lost the Lehigh. Oh, blanking on
Crookham.
his name. Kirkham.
Crookham.
We lost Crookham, but then we got Seidel in there, and still like coming up with like this weight is gonna be crazy. And obviously you have Bird and Ayala, who still like still all American, and who we're hoping that they would, but like the finalists from last
Lost
year, you're like,
Frost too. I mean, he's not as big, but I
yeah,
mean, Jacob Frost
lost
beat
us.
Ayala this year.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say the couple things at least surprised me on the backside. One of the backside warriors that lost their first match in the tournament was Jacob Van D, and came back and all the way to All American. Got 7th place over Bird, which was, I mean, big for the team race for Nebraska, but always just cool when you see that happen with the guy. And then I'm gonna give a shout out to Knox, because from Stanford, another Stanford guy that battled on the backside. And was All American, got 6th place. Not just because I had him on my little team, my fantasy team, but really surprising, winning some good matches. That he beat Larkin, then beat Van D, and then got tech fall by Blaze. But that also just shows you the big gap from those top 4 guys.
Yeah, I mean, he really showed that he could be that next tier, but obviously when he wrestles that tier, he gets destroyed. I mean, it's really bad. And he has a particular style where I think he gives guys that maybe aren't that tier fits, and then when he does wrestle one of those guys, they're just a lot better than him. And it kind of shows. But yeah, I mean, good on him. Again, back to the Stanford conversation, they really outplaced their seed. I think Tyler Knox was like a 15 seed and take 6th.
What I mean for these guys next year, obviously we have 4 freshmen that were in the semis in the top 4. Do you think they're all going back right to the same weight?
I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of question marks. I think the one guy that I think stays is Davino. I don't really see. I think he's perfect size for the weight. I don't really see him moving up. Obviously, you lose Mendez, so there's a route for him to move up if they wanted to bump him and bump Bouzakis, but I just think he's a 33-pounder, man. I don't really see the need to bump the guy up for any reason unless they just, think it's better for their team. Maybe they try to get Kilkiri in there at 25. They put Bouzakis at 33 and bump him up, or maybe they just say screw it and Bouzakis, jacks all the way up to 41. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Davino is a stud. I mean, I'm sure
He is.
I'm sure he wasn't thinking, oh shoot, when Jax Forrest came, but like if Jax Forrest wasn't in this weight class, then it's a national title for him.
Yeah, he's definitely the champ of the weight. I will say I'd like to see him versus Seidel.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see that match. Not saying Seidel would. I just think Seidel has such an interesting style for a lot of these guys. I could see him moving up. He's huge, like massive, massive. I don't really see Jax moving up, but does he redshirt? I don't know. There's so many question marks with Oklahoma State, and we'll get into that a little bit.
Blaze
and then Blaze, I think he stays. I mean, I think he's perfect size for the weight as well. I mean, a lot of people are talking about this Ono stuff, but I mean, I just don't really see that right now unless Ono's blowing him away. And then they're just like, all right, we're going to bump Marcus up to 41, but I don't really see it.
Well, I mean, speaking of we got those 2 weights right, 25 and 33. We predicted pretty close to kind of what happened. Maybe a couple on the backside we didn't get, but neither of us got this weight. They started off with 141 for the finals, and this was Sergio Vega upsetting 2-time champ Jesse Mendez, which I didn't see that coming. And even though I love Sergio Vega,
yeah,
was wild. And what a way to start the finals. It was that question mark, I guess, more than it.
Yeah, and I mean, for Oklahoma State, they get to start with a bang and end with a bang, which good for them. I mean, it's really nice for that program. I mean, I think you have to be a little bit, I don't want to say naive, but like the guy hadn't been taken down all year. I mean, and he just poses such a threat. I think you have to be a little bit, and I don't really feel like I'm Monday morning quarterback. I would have picked him. I picked Mendez. Like I think most people did.
Yeah.
I just think he was maybe too much for Sergio. And but one thing I didn't think about, man, and I'm not saying this was a huge factor, but dude, that guy was pulling so much weight. And Saturday night, I bet he was 158 pounds. I mean, he was so long. I mean, I bet he was
Yeah.
huge
Yeah.
going into that final. And I mean, he had basically the whole day to recover. And so I just wonder if that played a factor in it. Mendez had a tough match against
Stanich.
Stanich in the semis. And I'm not saying like he just did. He had to find it. He figured it out. He got it. Stanich, came back, took third. He looked really good. But I just wonder if like size played a little bit of a factor. I'm not saying it was the factor. Like obviously
Right.
Sergio's a really, really good wrestler, but man, we're talking about like the most minute details with trying to finish a takedown and Sergio trying to score with his counters and stuff like that. So it was just how Sergio wrestles. That match was literally exactly how he wrestles matches.
Yeah.
It was picture perfect to what he would want. And yeah, he got it done against the two-time champ. Hodge, one of the Hodge front runners. And it felt like one of those, like, as soon as it happened, you're like, I mean, couldn't we, like, we could have
Yeah.
seen that this was,
Yeah.
like, it
It's
was right in front of our
upset,
face.
but
It was right in front of
right.
our faces. Like, I don't know. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, this was obvious. Like, no, I picked Mendez. You did too.
Mm.
But the more I looked at it, I was like, I could have gotten there. There's some other matches where, maybe I couldn't have gotten there, but like I was like, oh, okay, that makes a little bit of sense that he can win this match.
Yeah, it's like in your head, I think also knowing it's a two-time, NCAA champ that you're like, yeah, I mean, he's been there though. Like he'll be able to. And then you start thinking,
I think
okay,
that was
well,
our thought, right? Just
yeah,
he's Jesse Mendez. He'll figure it out.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we don't know
He's
how
created
he's
the
going to
gap.
score, but like he's going to score. Like we just know.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a buzzsaw.
Well, he kind of like created the gap in these other guys, and then I do think once I saw like how close the Stanich match, I was like, okay, well, it might be a pretty interesting like close one takedown final. And then I started thinking about how Brock Hardy talks about Sergio Vega, and he's like, yeah, he's just like a better like younger me. And then I'm like, well, Jesse Mendez lost to Brock Hardy last
He
year,
did. Yeah.
and I'm like, oh well. Maybe, yeah, you're exactly right. I'm like, maybe I should have seen this coming. Never
And
give
I
a
would say a
takedown.
Sergio Vega that probably stays in a little bit better position than Hardy. Probably takes a little less chances, right? Like
Yeah.
Hardy's a guy that'll take some more chances than Vega will. He'll beat you up with position as well. But really good kickoff to the night. I mean, it was so
Yeah.
obviously sad watching Jesse Mendez, lose in the
Yeah.
finals just because he looked kind of distraught. But he'll be back, man. He's going to be wrestling, trying to make a world team. Etchemindia defaulted out, and then Stanich came back and beat Hardy. He looked really good all tournament, man.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it in our group chat, man. That guy looked really good. I'm excited to see him back at the weight next year. I don't know if Vega's there.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's cutting a lot of weight. Does he redshirt? I don't know how you redshirt him after that, but you got Swiderski for one more year. Do you roll him out and then roll Vega out there? But then it's like you got the Rainies coming. They have so many lineup things that they're going to have to figure out. But I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And to not give up, last thing about Vega is just not giving up a takedown all year. It's just crazy. And I mean, the weight class before, it's like Ben Davino had it till Jax Forrest. But just crazy and such a talented young group this year. And Vega just, I mean, kind of showed that.
And I'll say the last note, just because we hit on the big programs. No Braden Davis place in here. He lost to Brock Hardy second round. I don't know. What do you do with him? Do you flip flop him and Marcus? Do you bring in Ono? I mean, the guy was an All-American at 133. He's a good wrestler. I just, I don't think 41's his weight class. I don't think he looked like it was his weight class. And he looked like he was a little bit overpowered by a few guys in the weight. So we'll see what they do there. Obviously, they're going to be, their lineup doesn't have as many question marks as Oklahoma State, but they've got some bouncing around they can do as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And even like what's his name, Nate Desmond too. That's in the back.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, 100%.
Lilidal's only loss technically.
Blaze could go 41 and Nate Desmond could go 33. I mean, But you, dude, also like the whole Lilladall being for the Hodge Trophy vote and then putting him undefeated. Like, the dude lost to his teammate this year. What are we talking? Like, I don't
Yeah.
like. I get that doesn't like he shouldn't. That should count for like your record and the fact of like you should be voted for the Hodge. Like I'm
Yeah.
not saying he's gonna win the Hodge, but like the guy was not undefeated. I don't think you include him in that other group.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
whatever. It's not that big of
I
a deal.
agree. There's too many people up for the Hodge. I'll say that. Say that. All right. 149. So another one we did not get correct. But I will say, yeah, you did. You were on Aiden Valencia, and what a tournament! What a tournament
Yeah,
he
I
had.
I had him. I had the bottom semis. I had Lachlan versus Aiden Valencia in the semis,
Yeah, 10 and 11, which is a crazy call, and
which is
I love it.
it's a nutty call.
Yeah,
It happened, and then I had Aiden in the finals. Um, you know, so I'll say two things. I had him losing to Biskins, which Biskins didn't even play. So like that just shows you like I don't know what I'm talking about. The reason I had him losing that match is because he just has lost that match this year. Like
yeah,
so it was like whatever. If you told me that I get to watch him before the tournament though, and then say who's gonna win, I probably would have picked him up against basically anybody in the weight class except Van Ness. Like I wasn't picking against Van Ness because I just thought he'd run him down, he'd figure out a way. He's done it all year, but they wrestle so much alike. It's so hard to like. They just wrestle a lot alike, and maybe Van Ness gets out a little more out of position than Valencia does, but he's not a guy that really stops attacking. And
yeah,
so it's kind of tough if you're a guy like Van Ness and you just move forward, you get out of position. And Valencia took advantage of it. National champ, 10 seed. I mean, he looked great all tournament. They get a national champ. They really looked good those first few weights.
yeah. They
Stanford.
did, and we both said that maybe Van Ness would lose probably to Swiderski, and pretty close, pretty close. That was a
That was such an
brawl.
awesome match, man. God, that
Yeah,
was such an awesome match, and he almost did lose. And I was hoping. I feel like, dude, honestly, when Swiderski lost that, I was like, he's not going to place.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
wasn't sure.
I really felt that. He gave so much effort into that one match. I felt that same way with Dean Peterson wrestling Lilladall.
Little, yeah,
He put so much into that match, and he really fought every position. He almost did something with Lilladall. And then he didn't, and he actually doesn't place. I thought that was going to happen with Swiderski. Luckily, he made the podium. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. He did, and I mean, even another one like the Lamer, beats Guy, and then has Young. We have the 12 seed and the 20 seed, both Big Ten guys that had I mean, Young had a good Big Ten tournament. Lamer didn't have the best Big Ten tournament, but then comes and makes the semis, which is another thing like huge for the team race. So just like the 20, 11, and 10 for
I
when
know.
we knew
I
this
know it
weight
was
class was
almost the
gonna.
8. It was almost the 8, the 20,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
11 and the 10. I mean, it was really close to being the 8, the 20, and the 11 and the 10. So,
Well, and the only things I think really, I mean, the backside guy did come. Obviously the 2 seed Cornell, Jackson Joy from Cornell didn't place, and I was going to say 2 and 33 Ferrer didn't place either, which was somebody. I mean,
they
he
had
was
a
the
tough
11th
tournament,
seed, but we
man.
thought they did. Yeah, they did. They did.
Cornell had a really tough tournament. It was not a great tournament for them.
No, I only coming out with one All American. When you have
Yeah, and he
a
took
couple
8th.
guys that are and a couple guys that are 2 seeds, that they're both not All American. So
Yeah.
not the best tournament, but hoping for the best with them. And I think another guy to shout on this weight is Ryder Block. Kind of had a good backside there, and a little bit. I mean, Iowa had a good tournament. They
They
did.
did.
They were ready. They were ready, and
7 All-Americans, 1 finalist. Yeah, I mean, they had a good tournament. I think it's kind of crazy how much hate they got this year and how much turmoil they went through. But we're going to be talking about them this offseason.
yeah,
They're going to be in the headlines for the transfer portal. Trust me. They're going to be in the
yep.
headlines. They have to be.
Yep, yep. Well, and I mean McNeil able to come back and get third, which we thought he had a pretty good spot in the
Yeah,
bracket, and
he
still
did.
came and delivered. And
He delivered. Yeah,
a guy that's been there, and it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing once it gets to March, and once it gets to
he
being
did. I
on
mean,
this
he turned it
podium.
up during March. I mean, he looked at his best. At Big Tens, he looked great, and then here he looked great as well. So good for him coming back, taking third. This weight, you could see Vega coming up. You could see Bassett entering this weight next year. You could see Henson entering this weight next year. You could see Guy back. So Virginia Tech's going to have some stuff that they're going to figure out at this weight class. Maybe Ryder Blocks back at this weight. He could go up to 57, I think. I think he's pretty big for the weight. So you could see him back. Van Ness will be back likely. Aiden Valencia will be back. Jackson Joy should be back. So this weight gets a little better next year, I think, because it's so young. You don't really have a lot of old guys. I think Carter Young, Lachlan McNeil are kind of your seniors there. Other than that, you see a big return of a lot of guys.
We are in a new wave. I mean, I know we still have a few guys that are kind of lingering out. I don't remember who posts every year, like the post, like the graph of the year that guys have graduated that are wrestling in the tournament. We're almost out of like these older guys, and it's a whole new wave of young guys coming in. And
It is.
I think the next couple of years it's going to be pretty special. But I will say about this finals match compared to the other ones, I love, especially when it's the underdog, but I love seeing the emotion when somebody wins. And Aiden Valencia, like out of a lot of the guys, was one of the ones that was really showing like emotion when he won. And I don't know, it makes it so cool when that happens.
Look, man, he had his headgear off and his ears were taped. I mean, it did look really cool, man. You gotta give him his props there. That was really cool. He looked great. But yeah, let's talk 57. I mean, obviously a really cool weight. I think the biggest story was the Robidoux Duke match. And, controversial. I mean, it was. I mean, a lot of people said Duke had a takedown, but even if he didn't, I mean, just let him keep wrestling and let him figure it out. And they didn't. And it went to rideouts, and Robidoux had a nice reversal. It ended up winning the match and doing something that I think, if you told me before the semis, you're like, hey, Robidoux wins this match, I'm not thinking like I would be thinking with Vega and Mendez, right? I'm probably like, how? Like, what does he do? Like, I don't really like I'm like, okay, if he does it, like he's got to get one early. Like maybe he's got to, do what Cannon did and come out and get one early and then just kind of hang on to the lead.
Yeah.
It just felt like Duke was the better guy. And maybe that's just because we watched him at Big Tens and he, throttled Cannon and throttled Taylor. And right before that, he throttled Cannon again in the quarters. So it just felt like he was the best guy. And not saying he's not the best guy. He could be, but Robidoux got it done. He got his hand raised and he's the national champ.
Yeah, I mean that's I think the biggest controversy of the tournament. I will say, as I was like trying to flip it in my head, if it happened the other way and Robidoux had that cradle and they didn't call a takedown and then Duke wins, I think, and this is where I know, okay, definitely more of an Oklahoma State fan than a Penn State fan, but I would be a lot more loud than I am about what happened. I'll say that.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, there's
serious?
just not much you can do. It's a bad rule. I mean, you've
Right.
really got to get down to the fact that like we've got to somehow keep the action going, and refs have to realize that even if a brick's tossed, gotta realize that action still we're still in a similar situation. Let them wrestle it out. So it's just a bad rule. But no, I agree. I'm sure Penn State fans were not happy, and as well as they did, they broke the team record. There were some disappointments in this tournament for this team.
Yep. Well, and he gets it done. Avenges a loss from Larkin. I mean, has lost to Duke before. What, down?
This is the
Oh,
Robidoux.
you're saying, sorry. So I thought you
This is
told me
my
to
house.
go down. Yeah. He did threw the bands at him. Man, I didn't even notice the bands. I don't know if I was just excited from that match. I didn't even notice that till after. But he avenges
Yeah.
that Larkin, which we thought he would do, and then beats Duke where he had lost, past not this season, but and then his only loss on the season outside of the Big 12 tournament avenges against Taylor in the finals. And I mean, the David Taylor effect, I'd say. It was in effect for 157.
Man, 3 true freshman national champions. We're going to talk about it at the end, but I mean, there's so much more friction this year. I mean, there was friction last year between Penn State and Oklahoma State, but they're still like, you're over here. Well, now they're doing it with homegrown guys. They're doing it with freshmen. They're beating the other freshmen that Penn State has. They're outplacing them.
It's pretty
It's
wild.
definitely heating up, man. It's heating up
These are two
between
like
these two teams.
the two guys that Dave Taylor had flipped early on his
Yeah,
coaching. Vega
Cornell and
from Cornell.
Minnesota. Yeah,
Yeah, which is wild. On the bottom side, I'll just say that we both did pick Waters to make the semis, so he delivered in that 11 seed spot, and
yeah.
then
I had
Taylor coming
Cannon. I
through.
also had Cannon making the semis, and he was in a dogfight with Antrell, and Antrell kind of stalled, but whatever. I'm not going to get too much into that. I do think Cannon Webster looked really good this tournament.
Yeah,
I thought he looked awesome. What did he come back and take, like fourth or something?
Brandon Cannon,
Fifth? No, Cannon Webster. I think he
Ken
took
Webster took fifth. Yeah,
fifth.
yeah, yeah, he did. And then I mean the other one is the Catchermone that had a good tournament on the backside and beat
Yeah,
Larkin
beat
in that blood
Larkin.
round.
He beat Larkin in the blood round. That's a huge win. Obviously, we know Catcherbone is kind of a weird style.
Yeah,
At least we've heard that talked about. So I wonder how much that. I didn't watch that match, but I'm wondering how much that
it
played
was
into that.
it was weird. They were
It was
flopping
goofy. I'm
back
sure it
and
was.
forth.
Yeah.
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 It was. But I mean, fun weight class, we didn't pick Rob Dew to win this weight, and
No.
just because of tough path, but came out, got it done.
And next year he's probably back. I mean, I don't see him moving from that spot. What do they do with Duke? There's been talks that Kasak will be the guy next year and Duke will redshirt, or Duke will go up, or him and Messenbrick will go up. Antrell Taylor will be back. So, you'll have that rivalry already kind of built in, which is cool. Who else? I mean, Larkin will be back. Shapiro should be back, right? He's got one more year. I think
Yeah,
Shapiro.
I think so.
Cardenas has one more, I think. It'll be interesting, man. I mean, there's still some really good guys. Maybe Caleb Henson enters this way. I don't really know. I don't know what they do. Maybe Melvin Miller. Who knows? But
Reclassify.
still a fun wait next year. Yeah, maybe Kasak. Maybe he's
Yeah.
in over Duke. But it'll be a fun wait next year as well.
Well, going into 65, I mean, the big surprise we'll get into is from Columbia, but Messenbrink goes through, actually doesn't bonus all the way, just against Hepner in the quarters, wins 6-0, but also
Is that his first match he's never scored a takedown?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, it might be.
It might be. I mean, he took down David Carr in the finals, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
It's
it
very
might be his
possible.
first match in college. He never scored a takedown. I'm not saying that that's factual, but I mean, you'd have to go back and look at all the scoring of his matches, but it's possible.
Well, comes in and kind of did what we thought going all the way through.
I mean, he won the Hodge Trophy with this
Yeah, he
performance,
should-
in my
yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
He teched Caliendo in the finals. I mean, he looked awesome all tournament. And then, obviously people are all talking about the handshake thing. That's what's on everybody's brain, that Caliendo didn't shake his hand. I thought, whatever. It was kind of silly, but
Yeah.
people made a big deal
fine.
about it.
Well, and then on the bottom side, when we got to the semis, Caliendo avenged that loss against Blaze in overtime. And then on the top side, the big in the quarterfinals was that overtime with Ladarian Lockett and Caesar Alvin comes in, gets the pin there, and then also beats Ruiz, makes it to the semis against Mitchell Messenbrick. And great tournament for him. And their coach won Coach of the Year, or some Coach of the Year award. I
Yeah,
know that
Donnie
Columbia coach
Pritzloff.
did.
Well, yeah, Donnie
That's-
Pritzloff
yeah.
was Coach of the Year. I think Ayers was Coach of the tournament, the Stanford coach. But yeah, Pritzloff won National Coach of the Year at Columbia, which all good for them, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome for that program. They've really turned it around in a couple of years. I mean, they were a good program before, but putting a guy on the podium at third place and winning the Ivies is really impressive over Cornell.
Yeah. Besides these top guys, I mean, we had a couple of guys coming through, like Parko, Stanford, another Stanford guy. I think when we were thinking about the team race, Gallagher was one that kind of stuck out to me, that was doing his job if Ohio State was trying to stay in this team race.
Yeah.
It comes back and places seventh, but obviously other teammates didn't kind of rise to that level. But
yeah, but I mean, it's like,
matches
yeah,
there.
he did, but then Caliendo makes the final, so it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, you're keeping
Right.
up with that Iowa versus Ohio State. Most people were thinking Oklahoma State versus Ohio State, but then they were
Right.
just battling to keep a team trophy.
Yeah.
And we could touch on that one too. I mean, Lockett doesn't place.
Yeah.
That was tough. I mean, he looked to be one of the top 4 guys in the country all year, and goes out there and kind of lays an egg.
Mhm. Yeah, and you're hoping to see after, he gets that pin and the upset, probably like one of the bigger upsets in the quarters, or probably, I don't know, maybe the biggest. I can't remember, but hoping that he would come back and kind of put a tournament together and see what he is made of as a freshman. He wins a close one against Arugiao, which that was a big test of being the first match back in the backside, but then loses pretty bad to Sparks that 10th match. And
Yeah.
Sparks had a good tournament, but still, it's one that you're like, you need to win one of those matches to keep going on and hit the podium.
Yeah, you got to beat Caesar Alvin or Andrew Sparks if you're Ladarian Lockett, and that's no shade to those guys. They're great wrestlers, but if you pick those guys in a dual meet, you're picking Ladarian Lockett every single time. Um, I know it's tough. You're sad you didn't accomplish your goal. You got to come back and take fifth or sixth or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Well, guys coming back, Madison Ring's got one more year, which seems crazy still.
yeah, it does, and he could be at 65. He could be at 74. Probably ends up just staying at 65, I would think. He's probably trying to make an Olympic team and a world team, so he's probably trying to be that 74 kilo rep and stay there. He's probably going to win the Hodge and has a really good shot of winning it next year too. So
Yep. You're right. Been the first pick in our draft 2 years in a row, and it'll probably be probably be 3 years
probably
in a
will
row.
be next year. That's right.
All right, 74. Another one that I feel like was pretty what we had kind of picked and what we kind of had thought was going to happen in this tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of all the way down, honestly. I think the biggest upset was that
I would say
Singleton.
more than any weight, we thought this was kind of, but besides Simon Ruiz not
Yeah,
placing and
right.
losing early to Wasp, we knew that was a tough test though,
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that this tournament or this bracket kind of went exactly how we thought it was going to go.
Yep, another finals where Penn State won a match. Levi won from like a stalling call, which I mean, it was a deserved one. It was just like trying to get some action going. Compared to like their previous matches, I think saw a lot of people be like, this time Minto's gonna win it, and I just didn't. I didn't think that was gonna happen. Thought it might be a little bit of a better match, a little bit more action, but Levi kind of got it done all the way
Yeah, I
through
mean,
this tournament.
especially when Levi scored like he did on Kennedy in the semis, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that was ugly. And I know Kennedy's not Minto; they're different types of wrestlers, but I just thought maybe Levi'd go out and get one late or something. And Minto's hard to wrestle though; he really is. He looked pretty good all tournament, so congrats to him making the finals. It's pretty good. Comes in as like a true sophomore, I think, and makes the finals after placing at 65 last year.
Yeah, and a couple of like the little highlights I think it was cool with the Mantanona brothers, both All-American. And
Yeah.
Bo just outside of like the seeding, but get some matchups, beat Singleton to All-American. And then the fun story, I mean, how many times those guys wrestled Carson Karchla and Patrick Kennedy, and they
Yeah, I
wrestled
know.
twice,
I
and
think
we
it was
thought
the
they might.
seventh. I think it was the seventh match, and then Kennedy took the lead in that last match for third, and looked really good. I think he gave up a takedown and then came back and got a couple and looked really good. He really impressed me, man. I mean, last year and this year coming back taking third in such a tough weight with a bunch of guys you got close matches with. He's a stud. I hate to see him and Karchla kind of both of those guys exit college wrestling.
Yeah, and this is a weight though that is getting a decent refresh with these top guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Levi is gone. Karchla, Kennedy, kind of all those top guys that you think about up in that upper echelon are gone. Minto and Ruiz will be back, but Penn State will enter a guy that is good, whether that's Messenbrink or whether they insert like a Will Hankel or an Asher Cunningham or something like that. They're going to have a guy that's right there competing. Maybe he's not the best right away, but he's going to be competing. Then I think Iowa inserts probably Gabe Arnold. And then we could talk about him too. Obviously placing at 97 is insane. Good for him. Kundo didn't place, which was, kind of when you're talking about that top team and that team race, obviously they did enough at other weights to take second, but he just he lost to Mancinona and then couldn't really muster anything up on the backside.
Yeah, and I actually didn't have him All American, but it was like not where it was another round and it was against somebody else. Like it wasn't against what would have been Gaitan, but yeah, it was tough where I thought he could maybe come back once I saw him wrestle, and then once he beat Sergio, or is it Sergio DeSanti?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well actually
Yeah, he
maybe
looked
he
good
can.
against
Yeah,
Surge. Yep,
yeah.
he did.
But
He looked good.
all right, now we're in the big boys, and this is going to be the first weight that Alex got right and Hunter got wrong. I'm just going to point that out. But
That was good.
some good matches. I think we were pretty on with this weight as far as it got to the quarters. Besides that bottom one where we said anything can really happen there, and Soldano comes out over Conaway. But when we get into the semis, I think that's Wait, the Ferrari Sinclair match. Let's just start there from that rematch from the beginning of the
Yeah, I
season.
mean, God, I felt like they could have hit Ferrari for stalling. I really do. I think Sinclair did enough to maybe earn one. They didn't. And, enough times with a guy on your leg, Ferrari figures out a way to counter score and ends up scoring on Sinclair another match that looked just like their first match. You knew it was going to be a tough path for either one of those guys, right? It was going to be tough for Sinclair or for Ferrari to win the whole thing. And, you know, I would have liked to have seen Sinclair against McAnally
Yeah.
and then maybe Sinclair against Welsh, but we didn't get to see that. And I think having all three of those guys on one side really, really kind of robbed us of any sort of clear pecking order. I feel still not established. It's kind of funny, but I really feel that way. I think all these guys can beat each other. They're all back next year. And I know McAnally won. He looked awesome, but I think if you wrestle that tournament again and reseed it, it could
Yep.
be a completely different outcome.
That's I was about to say the same thing. If you did this tournament again and it changed the seedings, even based off like what are the results, like it would be totally different. I thought Max was gonna get it done. Wasn't super confident like he's for sure gonna do it because he did still have to have some tough matches. I think when we think back to a year ago when we lost Strachey and then lost Kekheisen, and we were like, okay, well this is Max's weight because he looked so good last year. But then all of a sudden, like 84, we're like, okay, shoot, this is a pretty competitive weight when we start looking at it. And we were really excited
Yeah.
about this weight class. And he still did come up on top against these guys. I mean, Rocco had, a decent tournament. He had some close matches still, like with Mantinona, but it was just, a little bit of his style at wrestling. But yeah, Max McAnally able to get up on top and another champ from Minnesota, first time since Gable. I think it was 2022, maybe.
I think so. Yeah, and I mean next year, or one guy we'll talk about, Zach Ryder placing is
Yeah,
awesome. Good for him.
yeah,
It's unfortunate Silas Allred blew his ankle out, which kind of led to that. But good for Zach Ryder. He takes eighth with a bum shoulder, which was awesome. But I'll say these guys aren't going anywhere. They're going to run it back next year. They're probably going to run it back another year after that, and then you get Jackson Smith back for another year. Like this weight class might be better next year.
yeah. And the one I'd say on the backside is Campos from American, the 10 seed.
Yeah, he looked good.
Zach gets
I
fourth.
mean, that's the guy everybody's talking about, like,
Right. I wonder how his
transfer.
phone's doing.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm sure a bunch of scumbag coaches are already, hitting him up or getting proxies to hit him up and stuff like that. But whatever, good for him, man. He looked awesome, takes fourth, loses to Sinclair, and this still has me wanting for more for this weight because I can watch these guys wrestle. Maybe a little less Ferrari, but the other guys, I mean, mix them up. I like watching them wrestle.
Yep. Yep. All right. Well, the next weight, pretty much how we thought on the top side, pretty different on the bottom. I think
Yeah.
Josh Barr comes in and gets it done, leads the weight class, which he has been doing since he got back from injury, and was the clear favorite, and I think had a pretty big gap from him and the other people at 197. The big surprise, which I will say, I had Cody Merrill not placing in my bracket, and maybe he listened because he was like, "Are you serious?" And then
I
he
mean,
makes it to the finals.
something I did not know that, Rocky Elam, I guess, got pretty banged
Yeah.
up at the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah.
Wasn't aware of that
Nope.
and picked him to make the finals. He didn't. He looked a shell of himself in the round of 16. And that kind of opened a path up for Cody. And you're really just kind of eyeing that match with Stephen Little in the semis, going, which one of these guys is going to make the final. And I will say, man, I was really impressed with Stephen Little. I know the kid's really
Yeah.
good, but I thought he looked awesome. He comes back and takes third. I question a little bit of their tactics there in that match, but overall, I thought Stephen Little looked really good. Merrill, another freshman for Oklahoma State, makes the finals. Very impressive from that team. Very impressive from him making the finals as a freshman. Nobody's a match for Josh Barr at that weight. He's probably going to win a couple more titles.
Yep. And then backside warrior that we talked on last one, and this one, the one that you picked, was that Branson John from Maryland coming through. I
Yeah,
mean,
him
two.
him
Yeah,
and
two.
Gabe
Yeah.
lost first round, and they came back and took Gabe took seventh, and Branson took eighth. Mine was a little homery, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. I like Branson, I like Maryland, I like their team and their coaching staff, and then Gabe placing Gabe. I used to wrestle with Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great kid, and he's from Georgia. Some kid I'll always follow his career, and now he's kind of lifted the monkey off his back a bit, right? He's placed at the national tournament. He's got 2 more years to go down and be at the right weight and really make a name for himself and see what he can do at that weight
Yeah.
class. So,
And I think just based off the Big Ten tournament, like it just looked like he didn't have like the manpower just kind of handle these big
that's right. I
guys.
mean,
And
Remy Cotton beat him, Branson John beat him, and he comes back and beats Remy Cotton in the blood round and then beats Branson John for seventh and eighth. And you're like, wow, like 10 days, 10 days,
yeah.
12 days, and he's a different guy. And, maybe it's a strategic thing. Maybe you just like, you're like, all right, I know I got to wrestle a little different style. Like, I don't know
Mhm.
but he looked great. Even against
That was
Rademacher, I know he lost
yeah.
that match, but he looked good.
Rademacher not All American. Gabe comes in and wins, and I'll say just because we shouted out all the backside warrior guys, that we missed the 141, the Air Force. Is it Noggle? Is that his name?
Yeah,
Uh,
Carter Noggle. Yeah, I mean, lost first round, comes back, takes
Great tournament.
fifth, sixth, something like that. Man, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
Josh Barr obviously back, and Cody Merrill back. I think.
Stephen Little's got another year. Joey
Yeah.
Novak, I'm pretty sure, is back as well. We'll see what like some of these other programs do. Some of the bigger programs. Obviously, Iowa's a question mark and what they're gonna do. Maybe Harvey Luddington's the answer. Maybe not. So we'll see. This weight class, I think, is gonna be very similar to this year. Not a great weight.
Yeah, and I mean just on that, like Sonny Sasso, I think was the bigger like disappointment from this weight. Just didn't have a great tournament, fourth seed, and goes what I think 2-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
so.
1-2, 2-2, something like that. He did
One and
not
two,
look great.
1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, the big boys, 285.
Yeah.
I think I mean what we thought younger. Well, actually, you had Ferrari winning, right?
I did kind of an off the wall pick.
Yeah.
Looking back at that was kind of a silly pick. I just thought maybe Ferrari would do his bullshit, right? And
Yeah.
just figure out a way to win. But him and his brother decided to lose in the semis and then default for sixth, which is just another clown show of a move. I mean, I know they're banged up. I'm sure they are, but just what are we doing?
Yep.
What are we doing?
Yeah. I agree.
But we'll
This.
talk about the guys that did wrestle.
Yeah.
Trumbull over Younger. I mean, I just thought Younger had the clear advantage on his feet, and he didn't. And that was the difference, is that I thought he had a bigger advantage on his feet, and that ended up costing him because Trumbull had the advantage on the mat.
Yeah, and I knew Trumbull was good on top, but especially when I start to watch him against like Doucette and Gadali, like he was.
Yeah.
And this is one I did. I went 7 for 10. I'll say I did pick Trumbull to win, but there wasn't a huge confidence behind it. I just felt like, yeah, this guy doesn't wrestle these guys as much. Wrestles a little bit differently, more like the 97 when he was. And I thought maybe he could like squeak out some wins. But yeah, just that scramble, I say in the heavyweight match was fun. It was cool to see those guys kind of rolling through.
It was.
Thought it was pretty close to a takedown for Younger, but Trumbull able to come on top, and then yeah, once Younger said down, like wanted to go down, it was like, I don't know about that, and Trumbull just rode
Yeah.
him the whole
I
time.
think he just felt like he had to. If he
Yeah,
couldn't get one, he would have to take him down twice, and that just
yeah,
wasn't going to happen.
right.
But Ferrari, like I said, he came on in an interview and said Younger's using HGH and something like that, and then came out today and apologized, said that's not what he meant, when clearly that's what he meant. I don't understand how you don't mean that when you just
Yeah.
say that. And I guess maybe now it's like Younger's called them out to do a RAF match. They're going to do a RAF match. I don't know, dude. It's a bunch of hoopla. Sounds like a work. Like the guys are doing some WWE stuff right there.
Man,
They're setting up something for us.
getting
But
ready for
yeah, but no, I mean,
the
this weight's going to look a lot different. You lose
yeah.
Younger, you lose Trumbull. Ferrari could be back. You lose Gadali.
Yeah.
You
What about
who
Feldman?
else do
Still
you
got
lose?
another year, right?
Feldman has a year. He didn't place. That was tough for
No.
them.
Yeah.
He did not look good. Keeter's back. Mirasola's back. I think Ferrari's maybe back, but maybe he goes down. I don't know. Yeah, man. Definitely a way different weight than what 97 is going to look like, where, there's all the same guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be interesting, but overall I thought pretty good. I mean, tournament was awesome. I
It
think the
was awesome.
finals were really
The
good.
finals were great, man. They really
Like
were. It was a good year of finals.
yeah, I feel like you have sometimes it's closer to like a 50-50, maybe like 40-60 split of just like a couple maybe more like boring-ish matches. This time I really only think we had like a couple. I feel like for the most part there was some pretty good action, even if there wasn't like lighting up the scoreboard. It was fun to watch from
Well, they
top
were
to bottom.
mixed in too. It wasn't that they were like back to back. Like you had to watch Luke Lilladall. Oh crap! You get to watch Jax Forrest and
Yeah,
Ben DeVito.
right.
It's like you just watched Sergio Vega and Jesse Mendez and Aiden Valencia and Shane Van Ness, which were both awesome matches. Like, even if like watching Messi Brink Caliendo, like you watch a tech fall in the national
Yeah.
finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, now I got to watch a close match at 74, at 74. And then,
Yeah.
finally we'll watch a match at 84 where there's a takedown. So it's just, I thought they were good. I thought the finals were good. I think the way where they started them and where they ended them actually worked out really well. You know, we could talk about this, but those Oklahoma State freshmen, man, they're not going anywhere. They looked awesome. Oklahoma State looked really good, and they're going to be pushing Penn State. I mean, they are. I mean, they already starting to. They had just as many All-Americans. They had one less champ. It's
pretty crazy.
It's heating up, man. It really is. And I know Penn State outscored them by a lot. I get that, but you can't deny the level that Oklahoma State's at right now and where they're getting their guys.
I mean, Oklahoma State, losing Doucette and Facundo? Or does Facundo have another year?
Facundo has another year. I don't know if I don't know how that's going to look for them. Do they have another guy? I think he's probably still the guy next year. So I think he'll be back at 74, or maybe Lockett's wanting to move. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do there. That becomes a question with their lineup is like, do you wrestle, what's the kid from Iowa that they have coming in, their heavyweight?
Drayshawn Ross.
Are they going to wrestle Jayshawn Ross, right? Like, I don't know. Is he going to be ready to wrestle right away? I mean, maybe he is, maybe he's not. I mean, if you add him right into the lineup, or maybe you get a guy like you had like with Hendrickson, maybe you get a guy for a year, and then you let Drayshawn kind of develop under him, and then obviously we know Drayshawn's good enough. Is he big enough? Can he handle that physicality of the weight? He had some close matches with like Amira Sola and with Kobe Merrill. So like, Mirasol is really good, but he wasn't at that level to compete with those guys at the highest level. So can Drayshawn do that right away? I don't know.
Yeah.
But all this to say, we need an Oklahoma State Penn State duel. That's what we need.
Yep, I think we do. I mean, what are the chances that it actually does happen at least next year?
I don't think Kale and David talk, man. I really don't. Like, I don't think that they speak.
It's just crazy.
It's just nuts to me. And I don't think they're ever going to get to the point where they're talking regularly to be like, hey, do you want to schedule a duel? I think the way they do it is through a proxy, which is called the national duels. I think that's the only way it happens. Is that Kale and them got to show up at the national duels because Oklahoma State's going to be there. They're going to be there every year. It's basically their event, partially their
They're
event.
yeah, and it's later this next year, right? It's like
Yeah, it's in December. Yeah.
December, and which means it probably won't have that National Collegiate Open, maybe, or
Yeah.
collegiate
Or,
duels.
if they do, maybe that's like an NIT sort of deal.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, because Penn State has come to that. Did they go collegiate duels? They did
I don't think
last
they did
year.
this year. I don't.
No, last year they did. So I don't know. I mean, I think they should show up. I hope that they do, just so that we have a chance to see some of those matches,
Same.
especially with these young guys, and being able to put some guys in the weight and get some experience for those young guys to get their their dates where they're not where they could still redshirt. I think that's like a good place to do that, to have some guys wrestle. So we'll see. Overall, I know we'll get into like Oklahoma State's potential lineup, Penn State's potential lineup, because
Yeah.
still a lot of like things that
Well,
could
I mean, dude,
happen.
probably the next episode will be, once the transfer portal opens, we'll just talk about a bunch of transfer opportunities for
Yeah.
guys. That's kind of it opens April 1st, and then the floodgates will really open. We'll start seeing guys hit the portal like crazy.
Which will be exciting because there's some younger guys that really could make a splash in some other teams. And you asked me like the last match that will we get to or last podcast, will we get to like a place where there's only like 2 or 3 teams that are winning the NCAA tournament, and it could be that probably for a good bit, I
I
think.
mean, I know it was a lot more than that this year. It was 5,
Yeah.
but like it could have easily been 3 schools. Like Van Ness could have won that match. Rocco could have won that match. And now we're looking at Penn State 6 champs, Oklahoma State 3 champs, NC State 1 champ. And you're like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah. Yep.
So
It'll be interesting. I mean, either way, I still think, the NCAA tournament is the best collegiate watchable. Is very biased, but best tournament, best
super
3
biased.
days, and like it's just so much fun when
It is,
it's like
man.
the
I love
Thursday
going to it. If I can do it every year, I will until the wheels fall off. So, hopefully, but yeah,
What
really cool event.
my last question, just you being there, what was the highlight like of the tournament? And then maybe it might be the same that translated through watching online, but maybe it was more so like it had to be there in person. What was the highlight there?
I mean, I've got a few. I think, Abe Arnold placing was cool. A lot of people
That is
knew what
cool.
was going on, which was cool. They saw what was going on and then they reacted to that. That was really cool. I think, the fans reacted to Drake Ayala quite a bit. So there was a lot of that as well. I mean, to me, the story is Jax Forrest. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that's I keep coming away like that people they're just enamored with him. And maybe it's partially me because I am, but it feels that way when the gym's watching this kid. They're just like, oh my gosh, everybody eyes glued on this guy.
Well, yeah, what did your face like? I just want to know what your face looked like when he's walking out to that song. Are you just like locked in? I don't know if you're just like smiling.
No, what it happens is when he walks out in the finals and they start playing that song and I stand up and I'm just clapping just with everybody else.
Do, 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 do. Wait, that's not the right.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, yeah,
dun, dun,
yeah.
dun, 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 dun,
I
dun,
thought I was
dun,
doing
dun,
Lowrider
dun,
for a second.
I don't make a move to a town that's right for me.
That's not it, right?
Yeah.
Is that the song?
Gotta make a move to a town that's right for me.
I'm almost going to Lowrider. Low ride. Like I thought the dun, 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 dun.
Low, rah,
This is
man.
not a music
Not a
podcast.
singing podcast.
No, not
No.
a singing podcast either. But you gotta imagine Jax Forrest just electric, and we get to see so much more of him. Just such a unique talent. And I mean, I feel like really everyone got to see it now this past weekend, and I'm excited.
Well,
to
next
keep
year
watching
it'll be 2 guys next year, but it'll be 1 guy. It'll be Bo Bassett.
Yeah. Yep.
It'll be Bo Bassett.
Yeah.
Whether he wins or loses, that doesn't matter. That guy is already a star. He's been a star. He's going to be a star at the next level too. So
Yeah. Well, Hunter, I think that pretty much recaps the NCAA
that does
tournament.
it.
You got anything else to add there?
I don't. I'm ready to get off. Let's
Yep.
do it.
Let's All right, appreciate you guys for listening. We will be back soon. But what a great season, and on to the off season. Let's
Transfer
do it.
portal. We'll be coming at you with an episode maybe in the next 2 weeks once some guys get into the portal.
All righty. Thank you guys for listening. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Peace.